Okay, Travis Wayne Goodsell. One last video before I go to bed. I've got 3 lined up for the hundreds of billions, which we need to keep pushing, guys. Don't let this go. But this isn't going to be a hundreds of billions video. I help a neighbor who has physical disabilities with downloading the LDS Church's general conferences so that he can watch them without, because he has no other access to purchase the DVDs, and the DVDs that he does have, it's difficult because of his disability to open up the case, take the DVD out, plug it into a DVD player, and then play it, and then put it back afterwards. And so I help him put it onto a digital format on a storage device that has made his life far easier for him. Yes, he is a fanatical believer in the Mormon Church, and has no reason to suspect that the church leaders are leading him astray. I just the other day finished October 1984, and those of you who know of the controversy know of Elder Pullman, who spoke at that conference talking about the church and the gospel. That was the name of his talk, the title of his talk. And what happened was, in that conference, in the second session, I'm guessing, okay, I'm back. I can't pause my video because I've been told by viewers that the voice doesn't match the picture. So, yay. So I had to stop the video and start a new one. Okay, so yeah, somebody dropping off a Christmas gift, and I got to throw it in his face that with coded messaging. But a certain person that was favored by such person was getting bad press lately. Elder Pullman, church and the gospel. His conference talk, and I'm guessing it was in the second session in October, and I'm guessing the second session is because the file size of the second session, when having completed all of them, was smaller than all the others who were around the same file size. And so that's the one I'm thinking is where it was. As it turns out, the reason why it's smaller in that session is because the church on their website took his video out. What? Because if you know about the scandal, which was first reported by the Salt Lake Tribune, and they found out that after his conference talk later that week, the church paid for the Bonneville Media Company to have him go back to the tabernacle and reshoot his talk. And I'm not sure if they had fake people behind him or if they just blackened the scene behind him so that you couldn't tell nobody was there. But they had him redo the talk, and it's completely different from his original talk, because his original talk was how the church and the gospel are separate entities and should not be considered the same. And so, yes, as you can imagine, the church said, you join them together. And so, yeah, my lawsuit covers that right at the very beginning, because that's what the church likes to claim, as they're doing with Kay Burningham's lawsuit for a woman named Gaddy, is that they're a religion, therefore they're untouchable by the law. So I make sure to put that in there as their cover-up, using religion as a front for their criminal organization, with that specific talk as mentioned. And so fortunately YouTube had that public still as a video, and it has the original one, it has the revised one that the church made them do over, and it also has people who join the two side by side, and thank you guys. And so this is the point of my video, is that the church is withholding information from their archives. I've seen it with the conferences. I want to download a video, but there's no video. There's just the text. So then I have to go to YouTube, type in the person speaking, their name, and the title of the video to find the video, which is only the title of the talk and not the name of the person. And so, yeah, weird, but it's necessary, because this faithful, devout Mormon, my neighbor, really wants to listen to the old conferences, and he doesn't have access to the internet. His vision's too poor to have a computer screen anyway, to be able to see print, but video watching, but is something that he has to watch on a big screen. And while the church is censoring and limiting and even deleting their historical records, it results in Mormons not being able to look back and research the church. Because I've noticed, just by reading the titles as I'm going through downloading them, that there's a difference between the 70s talks titles versus the Apostles talks titles. And of course I'm seeing it through the lens of a criminal organization, and so I'm recognizing the Apostles talking about, you must conform, pay your tithing in order to go through the temple rituals, when devout Mormons hear, the beauty of the temple is the covenants we make with the Lord, and sharing with our neighbors, and having them participate in the beauties of the gospel. Those flowery words are the part of the scam. When you understand that tithing is extortion, protection money, in order to go through the temple rituals, in order to get exaltation in the afterlife. But when it comes in our day under Trump, a debate over what's fake news and what's truth, it's essential that news organizations provide archives for their shows. They don't do that. The church, likewise, needs to provide archives of their conference talks, of their devotional talks, of their fireside speeches, and other speeches made by general authorities as they go around to the world. Because there needs to be a documented evidence of the church. But they're not doing that. They don't want people to record them, but they won't provide a recording for people to access. And so as a result, people are forced to sneak a recording and make it available for others. The temple text, for example, the church forbids knowledge of the temple text unless you pay up to go through the temple, and then you have to keep going through the temple in order to catch everything and start to be able to memorize it. And they purposely do that. That's a criminal tactic, a financial criminal tactic as well. And when you realize what the church is wanting to keep secret in the temples, you realize, oh, the covenants, law of consecration. You're comparing the church to a kingdom. The United States is our government, and you're wanting us to follow the kingdom instead. They're teaching anti-government principles in the temple that Mormons are forced to covenant to protect and defend the church over the Constitution, over the government. That's where it starts to get scary, especially for me, you millennials who are going through the temple and are just starting to go through the temple. You're clueless unless you've been hearing stories from your parents or from peers who have heard it from their parents, or from straying from church-approved materials online and finding guys like me who are anti-Mormon. See, those are trigger words to scare you and keep you away from finding out the truth that they are censoring from you. But when I went through in 1989 in the Los Angeles temple, I was like horrified, and I had to keep it in because I was in a big audience. It's just one room in the Los Angeles temple, one endowment room, and the washing and anointings was fine enough. It was kind of cool. I didn't like the wedgie that I got. I didn't like the guy tucking in my upper shirt garment into the lower one. That was a little creepy, but in all, it was fine and tolerable. But the endowment, you made penalty oaths where you demonstrated in the drama of the covenant to kill yourself if you violated the covenants. And of course, the covenant is to betray America for the church. And that's horrifying for a 19-year-old boy who's been born and raised in the church and knows nothing else other than his born-again peers who say that they saw the God makers and therefore our church is wrong. And of course, I never have access to the God makers because the technology wasn't advanced enough to have the internet, so I can Google it on YouTube and, oh, God makers. Oh, they got a second one now. Did I just promote them? And so that's the danger that the church poses and even the news media, because the established media are actually promoting these fake news outlets on social media, because they're not leaving archived information of their shows. And so people then have to search to find out that past information, to find out what's actually going on, and the only place that is at least showing that they're covering something of that nature are the fake news outlets. And so then people get stuck saying, is this fake or is this real? Because the real news that are established are not making it available for people to look up. And that's what the church is doing too. They're purposely keeping Mormons from knowing their history, and knowing even from the past 20 years ago, as new generations are not aware of what happened in their parents' generation if their parents don't tell them. And so this is a danger that I'm seeing here. So understand that just because the church tells you something, Mormons, doesn't automatically make it true. I did a video either this morning or yesterday about, it was the other day, about how during the impeachment, so 2 days ago, the church posted a video about the church's connection with Masonry. And I watched it, and I got furious at the video, like an old man does to the TV, yelling and screaming at the TV that can't respond and doesn't hear them and blah, blah, blah. And so it left out information and led the viewer, who is clueless about any of that information, what is actually going on. And it leads people to believe in a different reality than what the true reality was, as someone who did the research and found out what was really going on during that time period. And so that involves, how do you research? But first we need to rely on established outlets so that we don't get forced to have to go to fake news outlets like the computer voices. And they're getting better at sounding more human, as I did another video today about a woman voice, but she paused awkwardly on certain words, so I recognized, still computer voice. But they're getting better at that technology, and soon I won't be able to tell anymore. The only way I'll be able to tell is if it's CNN as the news source, or MSNBC, or even Fox, even though I know Fox is lying to me. But at least I know that they're established. And so if somebody else comes along, pretends to be Fox or pretends to be CNN, they then get busted by those companies, because they'll eventually come out and say, hey, this video channel is claiming to be us. It is not us. We did not make this deep fake video with AI intelligence. So it's coming, but for right now, we can tell the difference between what is fake news by the channel. And that's why I'm trying to get my face and my voice on video out there for people, as much as YouTube is trying to shut me down, so that you will know me, that you will know my speech pattern, my mannerisms, and how I look like. so that when somebody does do a fake of me, especially when I win the lawsuit or the lawsuit is in process against the church, people will try to imitate me. My data has already been stolen, not just with the Equifax, but other sites, even sites that I've never even been on. My data has been used, so I know I've already been compromised out there. So I hope my dick pics are complimentary and rather but yeah, that's how bad it's going to get, and I'm already trying to prepare for that when such occasion arises. So yeah, I'm too long on this video, but understand that the church, by withholding information to the Mormons, is corrupt in that sense. They should be open and honest with Mormons as a religion, because they're supposed to be representing Jesus. They even claim to be speaking the words of Jesus, as they say that Jesus commands them to lead this church. So understand that, and I'm going to bed. Well, I gotta wait for the video to process and have to remember to put both video sections together.